The reverberation of Alex Meruelo's disaster in the desert could be felt as far away as Reno. That is where the now former Arizona Coyotes owner is looking to build a $1 billion entertainment district that would include a 10,000 seat stadium that would be home to potentially the Nevada Wolfpack and a minor league hockey club. That would be located at the site of the Grand Sierra Resort, a property he owns. His fortunes in Arizona, or lack thereof, have turned everyone's attentions to the biggest little city in the world, a place I am actually quite fond of. There is one school of thought that says with a Phoenix hockey rink now on the back burner, he may focus his full attention and his full capabilities on that Reno project. Then again, his failures in the desert could simply be a sign of things to come. I'm Shine Hollis, this is the Touchback, and those hoping for a new arena for the Wolfpack and maybe even minor league hockey in Reno, well, I don't know if you should hold your breath.
Well, $2 a tug job.
Terry, $2?
In his recent mailbag for Nevada Sportsnet, Chris Murray made some interesting points about the Reno arena situation and how it ties into what's happening in Phoenix. It's really interesting. I'll put a link in the description below to that article if you want to check it out. One of the more notable points made by Murray was that he didn't think Meruelo could simultaneously build a $1 billion project in Reno and a multi-billion dollar project in Arizona. The prospects of the Nevada mixed-use development are ultimately tied to whatever his decision in Phoenix happens to be. If he opts not to seriously pursue an Arizona arena, then he most likely retreats from there and puts his time and energy full steam ahead on the Reno arena and entertainment district. He could even bring his minor league hockey team along for the ride. And if Meruelo is still active in Phoenix, well, there's probably not going to be enough capacity for him to get that done, as well as whatever he intends to build in the biggest little city in the world. I'd argue I'm not sure if he has the capability and the knowledge and the wherewithal to get either project done, even if it was his sole focus. All you have to do is look at his track record in the real estate world and the sports world for proof of that. Meruelo likes to buy distressed assets at a cut rate price, hoping to flip them and making himself a lot of money in the process. He basically bought the Grand Sierra Resort out of foreclosure. He bought the failing SLS Las Vegas a few years later. He tried to buy the Atlanta Hawks as the Atlanta Spirit ownership group was going through all of its petty infighting and unnecessary drama, but that bid was rebuffed. He eventually got his hands on the Arizona Coyotes for a laughable amount for a sports franchise, even one with massive problems like the Coyotes had at the time. While Meruelo may be able to buy assets and then flip them for a higher price down the road, the one thing he has never done in his business career is get a billion-dollar real estate project off the ground. He thinks he can do that, but we have no proof of this capability. Let's be real, making real estate developer plans and being a real estate developer are two massively different things. Anyone can have some nice renderings made and hold a press conference, but when it comes to securing the financing and the public support for these projects, well, right now, that looks to be a bridge too far for Alex Meruelo. His capabilities seem to be in the $100 million range. He's invested around that amount on renovations at what is now called the Sahara in Las Vegas. He put in significantly less than that at the Grand Sierra in Reno, although to be fair, that property had a bunch of work done before he took over it. By the way, the Grand Sierra is a perfectly fine resort. It is not my go-to when staying in Reno, but I can totally see why people like it. I'm a road guy. Look, it's not the nicest. It's not the newest. I understand why some people wouldn't want to stay there, but when I'm going to Reno, I don't want to spend a lot of money because it's Reno. And quite frankly, I just want to be close to the Cal Neva so I can play Keno and eat prime rib and lobster on the cheap. I also really like being close to the Sundowner, even though it's vacant. You know what? Screw it. Let's go completely off the rails here for a minute. One of my dreams, one of my goals in life is to buy the Sundowner in Reno, restore it, renovate it, open it, make it a thing again. And I only want to do that because I am absolutely fascinated by the advertisement, the best rest in the West poster that has the cowboy sleeping on it. I think that is so cool. I just like how it looks. And when I restored the property, I would just lean so heavily into that. I'd get a massive neon of the cowboy. I'd slap that thing on the roof. I would just go crazy with it. Thankfully, no one will ever let me have that much money to do such an absurd and pointless project. Anyway, let's get back to the topic at hand, Alex Meruelo and the Grand Sierra Resort project. History tells us he is not a $1 billion project kind of guy. He's a few $100 million kind of guy. There is a massive difference between the two. Of course, now with the Coyotes having been sold, Meruelo is pretty flush with cash and has a few options at his disposal. In that regard, he probably has everything he needs from a backing standpoint to get the Reno arena and mixed-use project done with minimal fuss. He would need to punt on Arizona entirely in order to do so. That would mean never being able to show his face down in the desert. Does Meruelo really want to give that up? Give the ability to be a player down in Arizona in order to be the king of Reno? Honestly, I don't really know. It's a possibility, and we'll have a much clearer picture of what Morelo's intentions are by late June when that land auction in Arizona happens. As Chris Murray pointed out, should he win that, well, there is very little chance work starts on the Reno project. Financially, he would just be spread way too thin. Another twist in all of this is the AHL franchise Meruelo owned. Not included in the sale of the team to Utah was that team that he continues to own, the Tucson Roadrunners. It is no secret that one of the potential outcomes of the Reno arena was to have it host a minor league hockey team. There were a few options on that front. The Coyotes are one of the few NHL teams without an affiliate in the ECHL. I always felt one of the more likely outcomes here would be for the Coyotes to either buy or get an expansion team in the ECHL and have it play in Reno. That would make some sense given Lake Tahoe has landed an expansion ECHL team that will begin play in 2025. Having a Reno team and a Tahoe team in the league would probably be good. Now that seems to be a more complicated path forward. Meruelo is not calling shots for the Coyotes, so he's not buying any ECHL team, and who knows what that Utah ownership group is going to want to do. And where he eventually places the Tucson Roadrunners, well, it likely depends on whatever path forward Meruelo chooses, whether it be in Arizona or Reno, or maybe he just decides to sell the team entirely. By the way, it's not like Reno needs to have a minor league hockey team in that building. There are plenty other events that it could host throughout the year to make it viable. We all know there are more than enough acts out there wanting to perform in Reno. If there is a silver lining in the Silver State, it's that this is a no-lose situation for Reno. I mean, Nevada basketball would probably be a bit bummed by the outcome. The Lawler Event Center is a relic of the let's build a circular multi-purpose arena that can host everything but is good for nothing phase of college sports arenas. But they don't have any skin in the game here. There was no agreement in place between the university and Meruelo about their usage of this potential arena. In fact, the only thing they agreed to was the potential to explore possible partnerships. Basically, Meruelo wanted to use the UNR logo to make this project seem a little more local. It's a similar story for the city of Reno, which obviously would love to have a 10,000 seat arena, a minor league hockey team, and a huge new resort to become a more desirable destination, but it's also not the end of the world for them because, at least as the story goes, they weren't going to be asked to support this in any meaningful way. If I were to bet on this situation, I would bet against the entertainment district ever getting started in any way, shape, or form. Look, I would love to see Reno have a new arena for Nevada basketball, for all of the other things it could do, but I think when you look at the situation, just like I said earlier, I would not hold my breath on anything ever getting started on that front, unless Alex Meruelo gives up on Arizona entirely. Thank you for watching this video. If you would like to know more about attending a Nevada Wolfpack game in person, well, the video in the upper right hand corner of your screen is the place to go. And Reno, I will see you for week 0 when the Wolfpack take on SMU. I am looking forward to that. Until next time, I'm Shane Hollis. This is the Touchback, and as always, hashtag take it out to the 25.